Welcome all of you dear students. This is the simplest and easiest way of teaching learning process in our most popular that you made in our YouTube channel Physics Make It Simple by Dr. Rajendra from Padma Shri VK Patil Junior College, Pravaranagar. You know, as long as 11 science is concerned, we are discussing the chapter Electromagnetic Waves and Communication System. We have already learned a lot regarding electromagnetic waves, and today we are going to discuss the most interesting and funny article, that is communication system. This is the lecture number 8. Before learning directly the communication system, we think about what is communication system. That is, I am delivering a lecture in front of you by making use of YouTube channel, and you are listening and observing my lecture comfortably from your house. This process is communication system. But how it works? What components are included in the communication system? That is most important, dear students. So as long as our 11 science physics syllabus is concerned, as long as this chapter is concerned, at the starting point of communication system, the book is given the article ground wave propagation, sky wave propagation and space wave propagation. But dear student, mind well, I kept that article behind, and instead of taking that article at first, I am interested to discuss with you the article communication system at first. And so the article is 13.5, 13.5.1, 13.5.2 introduction, elements and used terms in communication system. Okay. While learning the communication system, we should know a block diagram that I have already drawn on the board. See it carefully. This block diagram consists of 5 parts. That 5 parts are information source, transmitter, transmission channel, receiver, user of information. So out of that, we will discuss the first block. That block is information source. What is information source? I myself is a information source, and I generate message in the form of sound wave and light wave. These sound waves and light waves are generated by me, and a device which generate a message in the form of sound wave and light wave is called as information source. The function of information source and the meaning of information source that I have already written on the board. So see that information and take a screenshot at first. Take a screenshot. Okay. Then the question arises, is it possible to transfer this sound wave and the video creating light waves from me towards you comfortably? Is it possible to transfer this sound wave and light wave as it is towards up to you? The answer is no. Why no? Because this sound wave and light waves have lower frequency, and we know E is equal to h nu. If the frequency is low, energy is low, and if the energy is low, its strength, its capacity, its ability is also very weak. And since because of having such a lower ability, lower strength, such a sound wave and light wave cannot be transferred satisfactorily from one point to another point over a longer distance. And so that such a sound wave and light wave is transferred towards transmitter. They come into the transmitter and the function of transmitter start. Many of the students are write the definition of transmitter like this. Transmitter is a device which transmit electrical signal towards receiver. No. This is not a definition of transmitter. What happens in the transmitter, that all includes in the definition of transmitter. So listen carefully my lecture till end, that your idea of communication system will be clear. So let me clean the blackboard at first and we will discuss about the transmitter. Okay. Transmitter. Transmitter. I will write here transmitter. Transmitter is a device in which three processes are happening. The first thing is that I have already discussed in front of you, that sound wave and light waves are not able to transfer through a longer distance, and for that purpose such a wave is to be converted into electrical signal. These message generated in the form of wave is converted into electrical signal or audio signal, and a device which converts waveform into electrical signal form, that device is called as transducer. Listen carefully. And this transducer is present in the transmitter. So the first process is done, that I will write on the board. Transmitter is a device in which, number one, it converts waveform into electrical signal form, and device by means of which this conversion is done is known as what? Transducer. Is known as transducer. Listen carefully. Is known as transducer. So waveform is converted into electrical form. This happen in the transmitter. Another thing is that I have already told you, that the waveform has low frequency form. So this low frequency electrical signal is converted into high frequency electrical signal. LF signal is converted into HF signal. This is the best way of understanding the article. LF to HF. The conversion of LF to HF signal, low frequency signal to high frequency signal, this process is called as modulation, and this modulation is done in the transmitter. So number 2, the process of converting low frequency signal, that is LF, into high frequency signal, that is what? HF, is known as modulation. And this modulation is necessary to transfer such a high frequency electrical signal over a longer distance. For that purpose, its frequency should increase by making use of modulation process, and this modulation process also done in the transmitter, dear student. Listen carefully. Very interesting, very magical and very funny, this communication system article. And the third process is what happens. Third, in transmitter, LL signal is converted into HL signal. What is LL? Low level signal to high level signal. That means the intensity of signal is to be increased. The strength of signal, ability of a signal, capacity of a signal has to be increased. This we call it as amplification, and a device by means of which amplification is done is called as amplifier, and this amplifier also exists in transmitter. So this is the third thing that I will write on the board. Low level signal is converted into high level signal known as amplification, done by what? Done by amplifier. Amplification done by amplifier. That means LL to what? LL to HL. These three process is done in a device, we call it as transmitter. So transmitter is not only a definition of to transmit electrical signal from one place to another place toward the receiver, we call it as transmitter. No, that is not a correct definition. These three processes are happening in a device, we call it as transmitter. Remember well, dear students, take a screenshot and write in your notebook. Take a screenshot. What is transmitter? Transmitter is a device in which three processes are happening. Waveform is converted into electrical signal, LF is converted to HF, and LL is converted to HL. And then now that electrical signals are ready to move from one place to another place over a long distance. That is most important thing, most important process that is happening in the transmitter. Then the next block is channel. What is channel? Let me clean the board. Channel. Transmission channel. Transmission channel. So I will write here transmission channel. channel is a type of media through which that electrical signal is transferring, that electrical signal is propagating. Space is a very well-known example of transmission channel. Space is a very well-known example of transmission channel. In the mobile communication, in TV communication, space, electromagnetic waves are transferring, that electrical signals are propagating through the space. So, space is a transmission channel. Coaxial cable behind the TV, that coaxial cable is an example of channel. Then another one, two wire lines in telephone, two wire lines is a type of channel. Two wire lines is a type of channel. Optical fiber in data communication, that optical fibers are used. These are some examples of transmission channel. So, the definition of transmission channel we make is, transmission channel is a media through which the electrical signal is propagating. That I will write on the board. Transmission channel is a type of media, through which the electrical signals are propagating. For example, space in mobile TV communication. I have already told you that two wire lines in telephone or optical fibers in data communication. These are some examples of transmission channel. And then now we are concentrating the block. What is a receiver? So take a screenshot at first. Okay, this is all about transmission channel. So let me clean the board. Transmission channel. Then we will discuss receiver. Many of the students write the definition of receiver like this: a device which receives the electrical signal, we call it as receiver. No, dear students, this is not a proper definition. What happens in the receiver? That all things we should write in the definition of receiver. Okay. So, receiver receives all electrical signals having very high frequency. That signals are electrical signals. But originally, my voice is in the form of wave. My video is in the form of light wave. So, that electrical signal is reconverted into, that electrical signals are reconverted into what? That electrical signals are reconverted into sound waves, light waves at first. Because that electrical signals are the modified form that we made for the satisfactory propagation from transmitter to receiver. But we don't want electrical signal, we want sound wave to hear. We want light waves to observe the video. Electrical signals are invisible, electromagnetic waves are invisible, that electrical signals are in the form of electromagnetic waves, and that we know they are invisible. So we will have to convert that electrical signal is in the original form, and that original form is done in the receiver. That original form is done in the receiver. So receiver is a device in which I will write on the board. Receiver is a device in which, number one, electrical signals are reconverted into waves, that is sound waves and light waves. Sound waves and light waves. Okay. Dear student, we know originally that sound waves and light waves are of either high frequency or low frequency. That sound waves and light waves originally have low frequency, but that electrical signals coming up to the receiver are of high frequency. We don't want high frequency. We want our original low frequency level. So the process of reconverting again from high frequency to low frequency, we call it as demodulation, because the modulation is done in transmitter and demodulation is done in the receiver. Because we want low frequency signal, because we want sound waves and light waves originally, those have low frequency. So we will have to convert high frequency signal to low frequency signal again, reverse to the modulation process. So this process is called as demodulation, and this demodulation process is done in the receiver, dear student. Mind well, most important point. So I will write here, high frequency signals are reconverted into high frequency signals are reconverted into low frequency signal. Low frequency signals is known as demodulation. So remember well, dear students, receiver are not only receives the electrical signals, but some process has to be done over the electrical signal. A device in which this happen, this done, we call it as receiver. So Tata Sky, dish antenna are the very well known example of receiver. In the receiver, two things are happening. What are the two things? Electrical signals are reconverted into our original waveform, that is sound waves and light waves. And another thing is that high frequency signals, because low frequency signal is converted into high frequency signal to satisfactory propagation over a longer distance. But we don't want now high frequency signal, we want low frequency signal. So again it reconverted high frequency signals into low frequency signal. This process is called as demodulation. Reverse the modulation process, and this demodulation is done in the receiver. This is the function of receiver. This is the definition of receiver. And after that I have written here user of information. Our TV, our mobile are the users. That means sound wave is transferred towards the speaker. Light waves are transferred towards the picture tube to watch the video. Sound waves are transferred towards the speaker to listen the sound. So in this way the communication of sound waves and light waves are satisfactorily possible by making use of communication system, and this is the most important block diagram you keep into mind always while learning further articles regarding communication system, dear student. Okay. Then after learning this communication system, we want to learn some basic elements, basic terms regarding this communication system. The first term is signal. What is signal and what is wave? That I am delivering a lecture in the form of sound wave, but that sound waves are not able to possible to come up towards you or passing after passing a longer distance. So these waves are converted into electrical signal. So electrical form of waves are called as signals. I will clean the board at first and then write the definition of signal. Signal. What is signal? What is signal? See here, signal. Signal. Electrical form. Electrical form of waves is known as a signal. There are two types of signal: analog signal and digital signal. Analog signal, analog signal and digital signal. Analog signal and digital signal. Number one, analog signal. Analog signal, which is in the form of sinusoidal nature, continuously varying voltage or current with respect to time, we call it as analog signal. Like this, see here, like this, continuously varying like this with respect to time. This is voltage or current, so we can write here continuously varying voltage or current with respect to time is called analog signal. And the next one is that digital signal. So how the waveform of digital signal is? The waveform of digital signal is like this. The waveform of digital signal is like this. Suppose this is plus 5 volt and this is 0 volt. So voltage and current has two discrete values, either maximum or minimum. Maximum value plus 5 volt, minimum value 0. So the waveform containing two discrete values, maximum and minimum, we call it as digital signal. What is? A waveform which consists of two discrete values with respect to time, that is maximum or minimum, is called digital signal. So this is all about signal. Then another important definition that we want to learn. What is noise? That noise is written here in the block. So take a screenshot of this signal, then we'll discuss about the noise. Okay. Noise. What is noise? What is noise? Noise. Noise are nothing but some unwanted signals are mixed into the electrical signals due to weather condition, cloudy weather condition, foggy weather condition, rainy season. In such a case, some unwanted signals are mixed into the electrical signal in the propagation of electrical signals, and disturbance arises in the propagation of electrical signals that we can not easily satisfactorily see in the video because of that noise, because of some unwanted signals are mixed into the electrical original signal. That is called as noise. That noise may be natural or artificial. That weather condition, rainy weather, cloudy weather, foggy weather, moisture present in the weather, because of such a condition, some unwanted signals are mixed. This is called as natural noise. What is artificial noise, dear students? Suppose the cricket match that you are observing, you are happily observing at home, and some vehicles are fastly going near your house by making a loud horn. Because of having a loud horn, the disturbance arises. There is some fluctuations in the video, in your TV signal. That unwanted signals are created by the man. That unwanted signals are man-made. That unwanted signals are artificial, and because of such artificial signals are mixed into the electrical signal is called as artificial noise. So this is all about artificial noise and natural noise, dear students. The video is going to lengthening more and more, but it is possible, but it is essential to make alert up to the end of my lecture. Then what is meant by range of the communication? Range. The maximum distance covered by the electrical signal to move it from transmitter to receiver satisfactorily. That maximum possible distance is called as range of the communication. Maximum possible distance covered by the electrical signal satisfactorily in the communication system, we call it as range of the communication system. I will not write the definition on the board because the video goes on lengthening and lengthening, becoming more time and time. That is range. What is meant by repeater? Repeater is the very funny concept, very interesting concept. For that purpose, I will draw one diagram on the board. Repeater. Repeater. What is repeater? Repeater. See here. This is one transmitting antenna. This is another transmitting antenna. This is another receiving antenna. I will write here T. This is T or R, and this is R. Okay. From this antenna, from the transmitting antenna, electrical signals come up to this receiving antenna. This receiving antenna acts as a role of transmitting antenna, and this transmitter and this transmitting antenna again transfer this wave towards the receiving antenna. In this way, the range of the electrical signal is increased by making a combination of transmitting antenna and receiving antenna. We call it as repeater. This middle antenna is acting as a role of transmitter as well as receiver. So the combination of, I will repeat the definition again. The combination of transmitting antenna and receiving antenna, or best way we can say that, the combination of transmitter and receiver to increase the range of communication system, we call it as repeater. We call it as repeater. Then another important definition is remaining. What is meant by attenuation? Attenuation. 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 The loss of energy during the propagation of electrical signal over a longer distance. That energy is to be lost during the propagation of electrical signal from transmitter to receiver. The energy is lost, the frequency is lost. This loss of strength, this loss of energy during the propagation of electrical signal, we call it as attenuation. So this is all about what, dear students? This is all about communication system that I have already discussed in front of you more detail. Though the video is lengthening, see this video again and again to understand communication system well, and after learning this communication system, we will meet again to discuss the article ground wave propagation, sky wave propagation and space wave propagation, dear students. Goodbye.